Chapter 121. Sheng Jiayu quipped, "Gujin, I want to hold your thighs tightly. Please take care of me in the future." Sheng Jiayu wasn't there that day when Xiaochong came, so she only heard the news once it came out on the headlines. When she asked her boyfriend about it, he said he knew. Although she asked him for more details, he did not answer, but only smiled mysteriously. Gujin rolled her eyes and said, "All right, but I am afraid my thighs are too thick for you to hold on to." Sheng Jiayu subconsciously glanced at her friend's attractive thin legs covered in jeans and commented, "I am afraid I won't be able to latch onto you, in case I make the chasing." Mu Mingcheng upset. When the pair arrived at the library, they felt the cool air conditioning and immersed in the quiet atmosphere of the library. Gu Jin buried her head in her textbook to write and draw. Suddenly, from the corner of her eye, she spotted a familiar figure. In the afternoon, the coffee shop had a few customers sitting around. The sunlight filtered through the glass window, but was blocked by silken curtains, allowing a few rays of light in. The shop was peaceful and leisurely as soothing music played. Gujin looked down and stirred a cup of coffee with a wooden spoon. She gently took a sip, tasting bitterness with a hint of sour. After only a sip, she lost interest and placed the cup back on the table. She rested her chin on her right hand and quietly watched the scenery outside the window. She had the waiter bring her a cup of sweet coffee instead of this bitter one. She held the cup of bitter cup and took a small sip from time to time. Shortly after, Gujin no longer wanted to continue drinking it when she suddenly heard a voice say, "Little Jin, long time no see. You have become more beautiful." "You too." Gujin sat up and stroked the porcelain cup with her fingers. "You have become more mature." In the past, this girl would never compliment or flatter others. Upon hearing that comment, Chengxin smiled and bowed her head. There is a price to pay for such maturity. Once again, the atmosphere fell silent. Gujin was right. After not being in contact for more than a month, Chengxin could hardly recognize this woman who was once haggard and dim. Haggard, not as in her physical state, but rather her mental state. Gujin recalled her life with Chengxin when she first crossed over to this novel world. She knew that Chengxin was used to being treated like a princess, while the former host Gujin was like a shy shadow, satisfying Chengxin's ego as a favored princess. At that time, Chengxin was proud of her love and friendship with the former host. Her eyes were always filled with life. There wasn't any harm in befriending someone with an elegant temper like Gujin. In retrospect, that was the best time for their relationship as sisters. Circumstances changed with the passage of time. Today, Chengxin was still exquisite and beautiful, but the bright and lively shine in her eyes were no longer there, only layers of lingering sorrow. In the past, she never would have noticed Gujin's unwillingness to drink bitter coffee, let alone having someone change her coffee to a sweet one. It seems that she has experienced many things and has matured a lot during this period. Gujin knew that her cousin's life has not been easy recently. Even if Gujin was one of the people who brought down Chengxin to this state, seeing the matured girl this way easily made her let go of any trace of intolerance to disappear into thin air. Whether it be the original host or the current Gujin, both can be said to be quite benevolent towards Chengxin. Gujin has never owed her anything. Neither has she taken the initiative to hurt her, so there was no need to feel guilty. "I came to you today to apologize and to share a few words." Chengxin's eyelash he is pointed down as she said, "I apologize for the harm I've done to you." Perhaps Shin was used to being a treasured pearl in one's hands since childhood, so apologizing was difficult for her. Her voice was low and she spoke slowly. Chapter 122. No, Gujin raised her eyebrows. "We settled our scores a long time ago, so neither of us owe anything to each other." She took a sip of coffee and the pungent sweet flavor spread in her mouth. Gujin squinted happily. "This coffee shop is good." Chengxin looked at her with slight envy. The woman in front of her did not even wear light makeup. Her whole being exuded freshness and comfort. Actually, what she said just now transpires from the bottom of her heart. "Gujin truly appears beautiful. I know what I did was wrong. If you don't intend to forgive me, then I won't insist." Chengxin laughed at herself and said bitterly, "But for the sake of your aunt's and my mother's reputation, can you do me a favor? Drinking sweet coffee excessively induces weariness and anxiety." Gujin placed the porcelain cup down, lightly consenting. "Speak, I'll listen to you." She knew in her heart that only the blood relationship between the mothers of both sides connected her with Chengxin. Even if Chengxin moved away, they will presumably demand quite the fair amount in compensation because of their relationship to Gujin's mother, Li Mingxia. Chengxin's recent experience taught her to speak mindfully. Against Gujin's cold attitude, her heart pounded heavily while she carefully phrased her thoughts. After listening to Chengxin, Gujin finally comprehended their situation. News that Jinghao and the Li family's interacted intimately spread widely throughout imperial capital. On that day at the banquet, Jinghao stepped up as Chengxin's first defense, prominently establishing their relationship to many. Growing up pampered, the only daughter of the Li family does not allow people to bully her easily. She harbors a strong desire to monopolize, and she can drown people when she drinks vinegar. Back when Jinghao rejected her, Miss Li had no idea that he dated Chengxin. Now that Jinghao and Miss Li established a clear relationship, Jinghao is reluctant to scold his new fiancé while Chengxin suffers under her provocations. Consequently, the Li family these days targets the Cheng family in the commercial market. The Cheng family's commodities frequently lost their validity while their business declined dramatically. Suffering from these recent events, Father Cheng's hair turned white. His blood pressure rose several times, causing him to faint. Chengxin rose up to carry the mantle, but she did not have any experience managing a company, nor did she study any relevant knowledge in an organized fashion. Instead, she tried looking for help elsewhere. Unfortunately, on her way to meet Jinghao, her path was blocked by Li Yu. Jinghao even blacklisted Chengxin's name from his own contacts. Chengxin tasted despair, but she had no one else to blame. Although she could only swallow the bitter fruit she created, she couldn't allow Father Cheng, who worked hard all his life, to be buried in the depths with her. She had no choice but to seek out Gu Jin. My family and I don't involve ourselves with business matters, Gu Jin said after a moment's silence. I'm afraid I can't help you. I know that, Chengxin interrupted, her voice tinted with fervor and caution. I understand that Mr. Mu and Jinghao don't get along. You and Mu Mingcheng are dating. Could you perhaps ask him to help the Cheng family overcome these difficulties? As a token of gratitude, we're willing to offer a portion of the Cheng family's shares, she proposed. Underneath Gu Jin's placid stare, the volume of her voice ebbed lower and lower until at last she fell completely quiet. Then I might disappoint you, Gu Jin abruptly replied with a grin. In response to Chengxin's puzzled eyes, she slowly explained. Mu Mingcheng and I just broke up a few days ago. Walking towards the cafe's exit, Gu Jin paused for a moment before turning around to say to Chengxin. If the Cheng family can last for more than half a month, you should be able to overcome this. Still sitting at the back of the coffee shop, Chengxin's eyes lit up. Chapter 103. 5 days since that evening, Gu Jin quietly reviewed her studies as usual. Finally, after wrapping up her final exam, Gu Jin returned to her dorm room. She did not finish packing her belongings until the afternoon. With her bag on her back, she planned to ride a taxi back home. In the last time Gu Jin told her parents about renting off campus, both of them approved. Yesterday, Gu Changsheng unexpectedly called her, saying that he found a good place for her to live at home. Once they let her return with the key, she could conveniently follow them to survey and pick out a suitable place. If the place fails to please they can hire someone to modify it for them. Perhaps they figure that Grandma Gus' arrival invited too much distress for her granddaughter. But Gus' parents' sudden outburst of enthusiasm left Gu Jin somewhat nonplussed. Gu Jin may also take the fault for keeping her summer vacation plans secret from her parents. They naturally presumed that Gu Jin needed to rent a house off campus due to her reluctance to live at home with Grandma. Gu and Guling around. When Gu Jin expressly mentioned this to Gu Teng in their SMS conversation, he replied amidst her teasing. Guling doesn't appear at home. I don't know what kind of job she found, but I don't see her at home all day. Isn't that good for you? Gu Jin theorized. You have one fewer hindrance in your vicinity. You don't know that. Gu Teng blurted halfway before forcing himself to swallow his words, muttering, Forget it. I won't tell you. Had rather not upset his sister by jabbering about a baseless suspicion. I hate when this wimp cuts his sense off halfway and leaves me hanging. Doesn't he know that? Gu Jin eyed the black car parked in front of her that just drove up to the school gate. With steady footsteps, she continued to maneuver away from the car. Mr. Mu, Miss Gu here won't enter the car. Mr. Fang turned his head toward the back seat to ask Mu Mingcheng, what should I do next? As soon as he turned his head, he knew he misspoke. Mu Mingcheng's face remained composed as he gazed at his secretary serenely. Assistant Fang redirected his sight out of the window in silence. Hey, why did not he notice in the past that the gate of Didu Normal University was designed so majestically and domineering? He should study it well. Speaking of Miss Gus' course schedule, Mr. Mu obtained it as early as the beginning of their relationship. Today marks the end of Miss Gus' exam. The boss dropped his current business to fetch her, but she ignored him. Especially this woman, who recently instigated him into a one-night, swiveled around and slipped away as soon as she ate him up. Mr. Mu's face must be hurting. Don't ask such a private assistant how he knows. He would not admit that he assumed the reason she left to be that they warred so intensely, that Mu Mingcheng's wound cracked slightly. As a work and life assistant, he rushed to summon a doctor. While replacing Mu Mingcheng's dressing, the doctor chided him bluntly that although the wound recovered more than halfway before the wound healed, had better control his sexual affairs. He listened all the way, feeling relieved to hear that the boss finally rid himself of the 10,000-year-old virgin identity. However, Miss Gu, who ended Mr. Mu's virginity, disappeared, inducing the air around the boss to freeze even more these days. After Mu Mingcheng silenced his talkative assistant, he still felt despondent. However, his eyes remained sharp. He still spotted a certain ungrateful woman ambling around his car. Chapter 124. Silently, he sneered. Gu Jin proved herself to be a cruel woman. Immediately after recovering the jade bracelet, she not only pursued sex, but also left the black card that he granted to her pristine by the head of the bed. What does this mean? She left him his tip for sleeping? Or does this prove the idle chatter about Gu Jin disliking him for stinking of money and tarnishing her scholarly reputation? As soon as Mu Mingcheng conceived these notions, he denied them immediately. Gu Jin is a poor drinker. She never practiced the habit of drinking before going to bed. But that day she not only inebriated herself, but she also rushed to the bed in Mu Mingcheng's room, rather than her own. Mu Mingcheng admits that he is not Lu Xiahui insert TL reminder, and he feels there is no response his favorite woman perched in his bed with a show of flattery. However, if he reacted again, Gu Jin would deny him if he hesitated to do so. All of Mu Mingcheng's extreme patience flew out the door when Gu Jin raised her red lips. Wine and sweat interwove on a melancholy night. Mu Mingcheng never imagined that, in his waking moments before he could bask in the afterglow, they would already break up. Mu Mingcheng grimaced when he remembered the note, "Let's part without hard feelings." His intuition denies that Gu Jin lacked affection to him. "Follow," Mu Mingcheng murmured. Outside of the school, dense foliage from sycamore trees scarcely provided shade from the sun. Next to the sidewalk laid a road, where Mu Mingcheng's car trailed quietly after Gu Jin, several meters behind. Mu Mingcheng's face appeared haggard, his eyes fixed on her back as he gazed from behind her. If eyes could kill, Gu Jin must have died hundreds of times by now. Ahead of the car, Gu Jin strolled leisurely, even humming a tuneless melody. Situations, such as these, test their resilience. After about 10 minutes of this pattern, Gu Jin slightly eased her pace and subtly twisted her ankle. Mu Mingcheng, who watched Gu Jin intently, saw this right away, and his heart jumped instantly. "Park here." Mu Mingcheng exited the car just as the driver hit the brakes. With his tall stature and just a few strides, he easily caught up to Gu Jin and lifted her. Twisting her waist, Gu Jin attempted to jump off. "Stop squirming," Mu Mingcheng patted her fleshy buttock. "Since you find high heels so uncomfortable, why do you still wear them?" He never saw her wear high heels often. At this time of the day, few people walked on this road. Gu Jin squinted. "Mr. Mu, we don't have an adequate enough relationship for you to help me." After carefully setting Gu Jin down in the car, Mu Mingcheng followed her in and sneered. Her words mattered to him significantly. "That is not what you said when you were drunk." At some point, Mu Mingcheng pressed an unknown button that triggered a specially made partition in the car to slowly rise, dividing the small space into two private worlds. He removed Gu Jin's shoes off from her feet, lightly laying her two slender, white legs over his knees. She shifted her legs, signaling for Mu Mingcheng to let her go. "I am old. I can't remember what I said. Do you need me to help you recall it?" Mu Mingcheng just managed to snatch Gu Jin's calf. "Never mind," replied Gu Jin, struggling to free her leg while peering at Mu Mingcheng with a provocative smile. Mr. Mu's technique in bed was really disappointing. She said this in an unclear tone. This incompetent Mu Mingcheng stuffed a mouthful of old blood in his heart, and his expression instantly clouded over enough to drip water. "You think I am not skilled?" He felt furious and he laughed back in his elegant and noble manner. Still, he brazenly countered. "Baby, who was the person who pestered me that night?" Rationality shattered on the ground. Gu Jin's placid expression momentarily cracked for a moment. She gritted her teeth. "You lie," she retorted. Chapter 125. "You are the one who lies." Mu Mingcheng answered back with a widening grin, pinching Gu Jin's leg with a strength that won't harm nor release her. "Run away after drinking and sleeping, huh? You went far enough. Mr. Mu, our relationship just existed as part of a deal." Gu Jin looked down and casually rubbed her legs against Mu Mingcheng's fine-quality trousers, changing her expression. "According to your promise and country, why our relationship should end? If it's over, then why did you sleep with me that night?" Mu Mingcheng interrupted her, clamping his hand onto her leg and commanding her to settle down. A man who experienced his first taste of that red fruit can heat up to a burning temperature much faster. With Mu Mingcheng's vigorous blood, who knows what will happen if anyone provoked him that way once again? "Because you saved me," Gu Jin raised his eyelids. "So you are compensating me?" Mu Mingcheng raised his eyebrows. "Do you think I need your compensation? In the beginning, I stole your bracelet, forcing you to date me. And then, I got to take a bullet shot for you. And I deserved it." "Gu Jin, I don't believe that you don't know that I like you." How could she not realize his feelings when she was so clever? That night she slept on the plane, her eyelash. He has trembled when he kissed her, so she must know that he liked her. "But, did not you tell me that you held no feelings for me?" Gu Jin is not a sentimental woman. To give her life in return for saving her life is almost impossible. Gu Jin paused for a moment, her expression turning serious. "However, we don't suit each other." "Where do we not suit each other?" Mu Mingcheng loosened his grip. "The Mu family doesn't need a doorman for a daughter-in-law. I liked you enough. I encountered many experiences in the first half of my life. I met all kinds of people. I fear that I can only stay with you for the rest of my life. I have no issues with that. I can even register you into my household anytime. How about you? How did it get to the household register book? Gu Jin glanced at him sideways and coolly opened her mouth. The problem doesn't just lie with our difference in family status. You are the president of Mu Corporation. In case another pressing matter arises in the future, and I, a weak woman, will not be able to withstand it. Rest assured, Mu Mingcheng replied with a sullen laugh, holding Gu Jin's hand and looking at her. In the future, I will not force you into anything except into bed. Gu Jin, are you serious? What about my partnership with Tong Lin? Asked Gu Jin. If that interests you. I don't mind. Mu Mingcheng answered from his heart. Wasn't he able to successfully deal with Cheng Xin and that Xiao kid? Well, Gu Jin paused and said, I refuse. Faced with Mu Mingcheng's slightly narrowed eyes, Gu Jin wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him in the corner of his lips. Mu Mingcheng's eyes widened when he saw her, and he pulled away quickly. Gu Jin grinned cheekily, something she rarely did, displaying the naivety and innocence of an infatuated girl. You never formally pursued me before. So then, began Mu Mingcheng. He raised his hand up to his mouth and touched that corner, his fierce phoenix eyes now gazing at her tenderly. What would you like me to do? Chase me again. Gu Jin raised her chin, attempting to act like a little princess for once. Oh, Mu Mingcheng appeared to laugh. Then I shall receive some benefits in advance. Without waiting for Gu Jin to answer, he jumped on this chance. Where can Gu Jin withstand the storm that Mu Mingcheng sweeps in the spacious car? After one kiss, Gu Jin lay on the man's chest, rubbing on his strong pectoral muscles to calm his breathing. She laughed and saw that she successfully hooked the fish. Chapter 126, Thump, Thump, Thump. The place where Gu Jin rested her head against just happened to be Mu Mingcheng's heart. At this moment, his heart was pounding strongly. Perhaps this was the taste of mutual affection. She lifted her lips, smiling so hard that her eyes turned into lines. She resembled a little cat that stole hearts. The two hugged each other for a while when Mu Mingcheng suddenly missed the wonderful taste of her lips. He couldn't help but search for those petal-like lips again, but this time he did not succeed. As soon he came close, a finger lifted up to cover his lip. Mu Mingcheng frowned. He kissed that soft palm, licking her fingers with the tip of his tongue. This slippery, wet hand, it's too sexy. With a stiff expression, Gu Jin pulled her hand away and seriously commented, I really did not wash my hands this time. It doesn't matter. I don't mind, Mu Mingcheng said as his face drew closer and closer, his breath overwhelming her. You smell fragrant. Especially when they were covered in sweat, Mu Mingcheng's eyes darkened when he thought of her taste that night. Seeing that their conversation was about to go towards an unspeakable direction, Gu Jin pulled away from Mu Mingcheng's arms and changed the topic. How long will it take you to solve the issue with the Jing family? Although the two of them were back to a normal relationship, freely hugging, kissing, and flirting, that doesn't mean Gu Jin is interested in having sex in the car. Within half a month, Mu Mingcheng looked at her in amusement, but did not expose her thoughts. This was really difficult for a man who just had his first taste and now had to be a vegetarian for these past few days. But his perseverance was amazing. He was capable of controlling his addiction to her and to suppress it if he wanted to. Why are you interested in this? Did that woman come to see you again? Mu Mingcheng never expected the Cheng family to fall to this point these past few days. He thought Jinghao would stand up for that woman because of his affections, but unexpectedly, in the face of personal interests, their love was too fragile to stand the test. My mother and aunt depended on each other. So their feelings run deep, Gu Jin said with a nod. She said in amusement, Cheng Xin asked to consider our mother's relationship and wanted to ask for your help through me. Do you want me to help the Cheng family? Mu Mingcheng raised a brow as he held Gu Jin's face with his broad palm. He spoke in a husky, sensual voice. If you are willing to give me your body, I can consider giving them a hand. Go away. Gu Jin slapped his handsome face and rolled her eyes, regardless of what he thought. There is nothing the Cheng family can do. It won't last for half a month. The Li and Jing families got together quickly, teamed up to dig up classified information regarding Mu Mingcheng's previous occupation. How many people in business are truly clean and spotless? If no one checks under the rug, anyone can look pleasing on the surface, but once one becomes the subject of criticisms, plenty of dark history can be dug up. At this moment, Mu Mingcheng pulled out the information he had acquired with ease. By that time, the Chen family's crisis will naturally subside, but they will have to struggle in the meantime. However, based on her uncle's shrewd way, they can overcome this crisis in less than a year. That is a pity, Mu Mingcheng said angrily as he sat back on his chair, but there was not a single hint of regret on his face. Originally, he would never pay attention to a meager family such as the Chengs, but now he always had news of them recently. Chapter 127. Jinghao wanted to cope with the crisis by marrying into the Li family. Of course he had to take care of their treasured daughter. Meanwhile, Li Yu sought out every opportunity to cause trouble to his former girlfriend, Cheng Xin. When Jinghao claimed that he knew nothing on Xi's doings, Cheng Xin foolishly believed his words, but Mu Mingcheng knew the facts were completely different. Jinghao, who chose to curry favor with Li Yu, turned a blind eye to Chengxin's pleadings. This man's tough and ruthless actions were justifiable within a bloodthirsty business world. Unfortunately, Jing Hao's vision wasn't very good. First, he had a relationship with a foolish woman like Chengxin, and next, he was engaged to Li Yu, who had no brains. Want to rely on a woman? Oh, he is overestimating the Li family's ability. Just like a man who had no sense of responsibility, he indirectly endangered the Cheng family's enterprises while angering Father Cheng. As he thought of this, Mu Mingcheng felt sorry for Chengxin. At the same time, he was quite happy. Gujin and Chengxin have been involved with each other for so many years, until his girl finally snapped into reality for some reason. It's not easy getting away from Chengxin without damaging one's brain. If the Jing family discovers that their tragedy was caused by Jing Ruo, what will they do? As Gujin thought of that scene, she felt sorry for that family. Do you want to see it? Mu Mingcheng raised his lips, eager to see what she thought. He did not wear those iconic glasses today. The man's eyes were stunning enough to melt glaciers, causing his onlookers to want to drown in them. Gujin reached out and touched Mu Mingcheng's face. No way. When he told her that the one responsible was Jing Ruo, Gujin had a feeling that she was indeed behind all this. She wasn't surprised at all. In the novel, Jing Ruo regarded Jing Hao as someone more important than her own life. She secretly obsessed over him and even imagined him as her lover. At that banquet, she hid in the background when she saw Jing Hao being forced to apologize. That was when she did the unexpected. In the original plot, she would go through any lengths for her love, even poison the Jing family head, who raised and loved her as his own. Who knew if Master Jing finds out later that the girl he adopted sprouted feelings for her brother? If so, he may regret having sympathy for her when he finds out she is responsible for pushing the family into the abyss. After ruminating, Gujin looked out the window. The buildings on the roadside were flitting past as they drove on, but this did not seem to be the way back home. She looked up and smilingly asked, "Where is Mr. Wu taking me?" Back to the villa. Mu Mingcheng turned to Gujin and squinted as he asked, "If you don't want to come back with me, where else do you want to go?" "I want to go home." Gujin blinked innocently and said, "I was about to take a taxi until Mr. Mu showed up and brought me in here." Mu Mingcheng was silent for 2 seconds, then broke out in laughter. With a dangerous glint in his eye, he said, "Now that you have promised, I won't forcibly take you away. Am I living up to your expectations?" Has he entered his role-playing again? As Gujin saw the eager light in his eyes, she couldn't help but have 2 black lines on her forehead. "Speak to my parents first." Gujin grinned. "I have to go back today." Since Gujin insisted, Mu Mingcheng pouted, then pressed the button to lower the partition. He gave orders to his assistants at the front seats and said, "Head over to the Gu family." Assistant Fang finally relaxed his worried heart, but he dared not look back. If he sees something he shouldn't see, he had every reason to believe that his boss will dig out his eyes. As a qualified assistant, he studied Miss Gus' information and where she lived. Chapter 128. The car immediately drove towards the Gu family's villa. At the destination, the car stopped several hundred meters away from the home. Gujin stepped out of the door with one foot, but before she could completely get out from the car, Mu Mingcheng wrapped his hands around her waist and planted a kiss on her forehead. "When will you take me back to meet your parents?" This young man, who was taller than 1.8 meters, spoke gloomily, just like a sulking big dog. Gujin noticed the hint of bitterness in his words. She couldn't help but wonder if she herself was being too hypocritical. Both of them already slept together, so why be so guarded and careful? Feeling her heart soften, Gujin turned and wrapped her arms around Mu Mingcheng's waist. After a while she said, "Let me go home first and talk to my parents so I can prepare them mentally for it." Mu Mingcheng was satisfied with her promise. He released her, lowered his head, then kissed Gujin's lips. "Go ahead, I'll wait till you call me to pay a visit." He watched as Gujin walked slowly to her house until the woman finally disappeared out of sight. He was still in a good mood when he ordered the driver to head back. Mu Mingcheng laughed softly. Between couples, the east wind can overwhelm the west wind, and other times, the west can overwhelm the east. Sometimes, if you bow your head and show your weakness, instead of missing the chance, you get to eat that piece of meat earlier. What's wrong with such a good deal? So, does it matter which person is hooked first by the other? No. They still skip the step of a proper courting. It's not that Mu Mingcheng doesn't want to formally pursue her, it's just that the process was too long. In these times, that will just be a waste of effort. Why can't they just do the things they enjoy together now? Gujin wanted her career to take off, so he allowed her to fly. A truly capable man will never prevent his partner from becoming better. Now will he be afraid of his partner's excellence and achievements? As long as she doesn't fly too far away, the line will still remain in his hands. Gujin got out of the car and approached the villa with a smile on her face. Laughing to herself, she thought of how at only 20 years old, she will be bringing home a boyfriend so early to meet with her parents. Wouldn't they be shocked? After thinking about it, she suddenly felt like slapping herself for losing her mind from indulging in a handsome man's looks. However, rather than Mother and Father Gu, the one who will be shocked was the boy who jumped out to surprise her. Gujin flinched when her brother suddenly appeared out of nowhere. She scolded angrily. "Little Tang, why did you do suddenly come out?" "Who's the man who just sent you back?" Gu Tang asked unhappily. "Is he your boyfriend?" By the time he looked at the car, the man in the distance had already turned away. All Gu Tang could see was the vehicles receding back. The relationship between brother and sister eased only a few days ago, but before the boy could enjoy enough love from his sister, someone showed up to rob her from him. Since he had long known that his sister had a boyfriend, Gu Tang had psychologically prepared himself for a while now. Since she was already old enough, what was there to worry about whether she found a boyfriend, got married, or even divorced? However, it felt different once he actually saw this scene with his own eyes. It seems that one day, he will see Gu Jin walk through those doors with her very own man. Gu Tang's eyes felt sour and teary. "Yes," Gu Jin said hesitantly, feeling embarrassed that her brother caught her. "Did you see just now?" Chapter 129. The sad mood quickly appeared, then dissipated. Before Gu Tang could taste it properly, it disappeared without trace. Just remembering that moment, his heart felt so depressed that he couldn't breathe. "Xiao Teng," Gu Jin noticed that his face paled frighteningly. He ignored her words, so she waved her hand in front of him eagerly. "Are you all right? I am in good health. What can I do for you?" Gu Tang recovered from his tumultuous emotions, gently brushing Gu Jin's hand aside. Noticing sincere concern in his sister's eyes, Gu Tang's heart eased up immensely, so he did not mind it much. Perhaps playing basketball that noon heated him up too much? That is good. On their way back home together, Gu Jin glanced at Gu Tang suspiciously. She did not intend to cause trouble, but this boy's expression appeared rather frightening. In the words of an old adage, terrifying enough that one's soul leaves the body and scatters. Gu Jin considers herself a materialist, but the series of rebirths distorted her understanding of the world. After deliberately observing Gu Tang's condition for a while longer, she confirmed that he had nothing wrong with him and calmed down. During the meal, Gu Jin cautiously mentioned Mu Mingcheng's affairs after several discussions. Unexpectedly, Gu Chongsheng and Li Mingxia remained silent momentarily, before asking her to bring him home for them to see. Gu Jin still floated in the clouds and mists, until she finished her meal and washed the dishes. Should they consent this easily? Gu Jin patted her face in disbelief. She originally believed that she would have to fight a hard battle, allowing her the opportunity to delay the inevitable meeting between Mu Mingcheng and her parents. Although the man laboriously restrained himself in the car, Gu Jin still recognized that thirst and hunger pooled within the bottom of his eyes. If their relationship progressed this rapidly, she feared that the dry land in this man shall soon be flooded. However, Gu Jin had no idea that her parents already noticed Gu Jin exit from Mu Mingcheng's car through a monitor outside the house. Originally, the parents expressed great displeasure upon seeing that a pig had arched its paw at their tender, white bok choy cabbage. However, their tension eased somewhat when they also observed that Mu Mingcheng's car remained parked, waiting for Gu Jin to reach the house's entrance safely. Although merely 100 meters distanced the car from the front door, the gentleman still decided to stay behind, ensuring their daughter's safety with his own eyes before departing. He apparently regards her with great importance. By 10 p.m., the elders fell asleep, including Grandma Fu, who without Gu Ling at home refrained from causing trouble for Gu Jin. During this time, Gu Jin and Gu Teng played games in the living room downstairs. They battled fiercely, neither brother nor sister regarding their own images, as they sat cross-legged on the sofa, focusing on their keyboards. "Quick, quick, pass the milk to me," Gu Jin shouted insistently. Her eyes focused on her screen, while she ignored the messy state of her hair. Gu Teng wordlessly manipulated his mouse to satisfy Gu Jin's demand. Upon receiving the poisoned milk, Gu Jin threw it towards the enemies, speedily killing 2 additional characters. This behavior prompted Gu Teng to wonder if this deranged woman truly was his gentle, beautiful sister. She behaved quite normally a few days ago, but her mannerisms changed unexpectedly. Gu Teng racked his brains for the reason and recalled watching a black car drive away that afternoon. Did her boyfriend bring about these changes? Gu Teng speculated no other cause that could drive people mad, except for the power of love. Chapter 130. One max I am out there Chi is that infatuation with fine details limits one from making progress. Gu Teng presumed that Gu Jin's boyfriend, who managed to manipulate his gentle sister into a game master in such a short time, appears to him as a negative influence and a lazy worker. Therefore, despite never having met Gu Jin's boyfriend, nor learned his name, Gu Teng gritted his teeth. After all, he was born to feel biased against all creatures that could possibly own the title, Gu Teng's brother-in-law. With this in mind, he inwardly inscribed a black mark against this future brother-in-law of his in his heart. Finally, after finishing one last round, Gu Jin exited and shut down the game. Twisting her head slightly, she stretched her neck and audibly popped a few joints. Looking up, she noticed that her stupid brother remained seated, motionlessly hanging his head down in front of his laptop. He appeared to be contemplating over some important issue in his life, so intensely that he forgot to close the game interface on his screen. Gu Jin patted him on his shoulder with a smile, murmuring, "Little brother, that was a good match. Call me next time when you play the game again," She hadn't played such a good game as this in a long time, so her hand felt rusty. After hearing Gu Jin say this, Gu Teng subtly glanced at her with a complicated expression. Should he actually alter his future plans from aggressively attacking to full-time nursing? Unfortunately, Gu Teng couldn't reject his sister, conceding in the end with only, "I'll invite you the next chance that I have time." Rest assured, Gu Jin rubbed the curly hair on his head and smiled gently. "During summer vacation, I have plenty of time. You can call me during that time." Life has no love. Gu Jin burst into laughter from seeing his current expression. Just as she reached out to comfort her little brother, for whom she was still spared time to talk and play with, while she worked hard at her own career, the door opened. Gu Jin retracted her hand as both siblings turned their eyes toward the door simultaneously. "Oh, big sister Jin returned," in walked Gu Ling, wearing an expensive suit and 10-centimeter high heels. On her arms, she carried several shopping bags from various brand-name stores. With her delicate makeup, she raised her appearance from her original 6-point level to an 8-point level. If she kept her mouth shut, Gu Jin would fail to recognize her at first glance, guessing that this newcomer belonged to some relative's family eldest miss. Fortunately, as soon as words escaped Gu Ling's mouth, the sarcastic tone within them immediately revealed her true nature and identity to be Gu Ling. Gu Jin finally somewhat understood the matter. Gu Teng attempted to convey at the end of their phone conversation last time. Now that Gu Ling could flaunt her charming looks, her previously cautious attitude was now replaced with pride, as if she could incite envy. Contrary to the past, she now very openly looked down on Gu Jin, with her nose stuck high up in the air. Gu Jin and Gu Teng glanced at each other, somewhat puzzled. Gu Teng kept his mouth shut, but rolled his eyes anyway. Tossing her shopping bags onto the sofa, Gu Ling glimpsed at the laptop screens that sat on the table. When she noticed the game interface displayed on Gu Teng's screen, her eyes looked down in disdain, and she commented with a sneer, "I can't believe that our most studious and refined sister Gu Jin also plays video games. Won't that be a waste of time? Have you eaten too much salt?" Gu Jin asked casually, as she turned away to sip from the cup of water that sat on the table. "What do you mean?" Gu Ling asked sullenly. Gu Jin smiled and covered her mouth, glancing meaningfully at her younger brother. Gu Teng received her signal and immediately supported Gu Jin with a follow-up. "Did not you hear her? Mind your own business." Furthermore, the other implication embarrasses Gu Teng too much for him to mention it. "Younger sister only worries for you. Why doesn't big sister Jin appreciate it?" Gu Ling, who realized what Gu Jin implied, folded her hands over her abdomen and perched on the sofa in the fashion of a high-class lady, feigning a morose sigh.